Hey there, it's Lacey J, here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, a question, fan mail, even hate mail. We'll respond on YouTube. Also, please remember to rate and review the podcast on your favorite app or share it with someone you know who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lost in My 40s, Season 4, Episode 9. It's called The Shape of Things to Come. It's a Ben Linus episode, and it's a Derek episode. But first, how's everybody doing this week?
Great.
Doing great.
Yay! I'm very excited about this episode. Holy moly. But first, Benjamin, how about you update us? What did the power rankings look like at the end of episode 8?
The end of episode 8, we had a tie for third to last place between Dr. Harper and Dr. Ray with negative 24 points. Miles in second place with negative 25 points. And Kimi in last with negative 74. At the bottom of the barrel, at the top, we have Dan Faraday falling out of third place with Hurley replacing him with 44 points. Juliet falling from first place to second place with 45 points, and Ben Linus taking the top spot with 52 points.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Woo! Well, let's see what happens after this episode. Derek, take us through the shape of things to come.
Okay, it's day 97 on the island for the originals, and Kate is sitting by the shore. She lowers the strap of her tank top to sponge herself with water.
Off to a good start with this episode.
Absolutely. I knew this was going to be a great episode.
What are you guys, like the Amish? You're like, some shoulder.
That's right. She lowered that strap.
A little bit of ankle showing.
Distracting.
Yeah.
She could be dress coded there.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So she waves at Jack, who is walking by holding his side. He enters the medical tent and opens a suitcase holding all the medications. Kate peeks her head into the tent and says, "Got a prescription for that?" He says he wrote one himself, and she tells him he looks terrible. Jack swallows some antibiotics, saying it's for a stomach bug. Kate tells him to eat some crackers because it works for her, and they both laugh a little.
The way she's looking at him.
You got any crackers you can drum up for me?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Does she have any crackers? It's like, hey, you eat crackers. It makes me feel better. Do you have crackers? Are there crackers?
Oh.
Did they fall from the fucking sky?
They could
They
have.
might have.
They might have.
They might have.
Dharma Initiative soda crackers.
There you go.
I just didn't know what draw them up meant. It sounded like you meant like a syringe, and I thought you thought
I
that
said
maybe she
drum
got
them
it.
up.
Oh, drum them. I thought you said draw it up, and I was like picturing trying to inject crackers as though that was going to help.
Well, if you draw them, are you Simon? Like, well, my name is Simon.
And I
and the
love
things
to
I
do
draw come
drawings.
true.
I do drawings. Okay, so the way that Kate is looking at Jack in this scene tells me that she is not over him.
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah.
So Kate then wonders why their friends are not back from the freighter yet, and Jack says that Saeed told him that the engine was down. His guess is they're fixing it and wondering why they can't get a hold of anyone on the island. Kate wants to know if he's worried, and Jack says, "No, my gut says we're getting off this island."
Eek.
She replies, "I thought your gut was sick."
Ha ha. Technically, he's right. They're getting off the island, but it doesn't seem to be like a good thing.
Right. They laugh again just as Vincent starts barking and Bernard starts screaming for help. They run over, as does Juliet, to find Bernard standing next to a body that's washed ashore. Son, Jen, and Daniel and Charlotte arrive at the scene. Jack, Bernard, Juliet, and Jen hoist the body ashore, and Jack turns the body over, and it's a man with a small cut on his upper cheek and a larger one across his throat.
Ow.
Faraday and Charlotte look on apprehensively as Jack asks, "Do you know who this is?" Faraday says, "He was on our boat. He's the doctor."
I think
What
that it's
did
funny
you
that
do, Ray?
with that big cut across the guy's neck, Jack announces, "Well, somebody slit his throat."
Oh,
Thank
you think?
Great forensic
Yes.
observation there, Jack.
Ben, did you just make a Ghostbusters reference?
I did.
Okay. I thought I heard that.
So in the barracks, Sawyer, Locke, and Hurley sit around a table in a heated debate. Hurley says, "We're all gonna die." And Sawyer replies, "Calm down, Chicken Little. The sky ain't falling just yet." Hurley says this is exactly what he wants, and Sawyer's making a big mistake. Locke thinks it's Sawyer's to make, and Hurley should let him. Sawyer thinks for a minute and says, "I'm attacking Siberia." A loaded board game of Risk can now be seen sitting on the table.
Wow.
It had me going, you know.
Yeah. Hurley is holding Aaron in his arms. Sawyer
It's a
and
normal
Hurley-
sized Aaron, with a normal
not the
sized
giant
head.
one. Yeah,
It's not the giant baby in the scene.
Sawyer and Hurley roll the dice, and then Sawyer laughs, picking off some of Hurley's pieces. Hurley can't believe that Sawyer is giving Australia to Locke, and he says, "Australia is the key to the whole game." Sawyer replies, "Says you," and then rolls again.
Does anybody play Risk?
I've never played.
Me neither. Ben, you've probably
No.
played it.
No, I
No.
actually never played it.
Really?
No,
well, I'm
never
wondering
either.
if Australia is the key to the game now.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the military team
Oh.
from the freighter leads Alex, her hands bound and her eyes blindfolded. Kimi tells her to stop here and get on her knees. He shoves Alex to the ground, then removes her blindfold. Asshole. She's at the edge of the sonar fence and a numbered keypad before her. He tells her to turn the fence off, and she begs him, "But please, there's a baby with them. Just promise you won't." But before she can finish her sentence, Kimi cocks his gun so she knows he is serious. She enters 1623, and the
Oh.
fence whooshes as it deactivates.
I can't believe we got this
1623.
past the sentence. Kimi tells her to get on her knees, and neither one of you acted disgusting.
Disgusting.
Well, I mean, I point out that you actually at this point don't actually see who it is. You can hear the voice and maybe figure out that it's Kimi, but you can't in the scene. You don't know that's who it is.
And I don't want him to get anything. So
Exactly right.
hell with him. Back in Ben's house in the barracks, a black telephone rings in the room where the game of Risk is taking place. Hurley, Sawyer, Locke, and Aaron turn their heads towards it, because I'm sure you don't really hear a phone ringing much on the island. Locke gets up and picks up the phone. He hears a beep, and an automated female voice says, "Code 14-J, code 14-J. Locke says, "I think it's for Ben."
I'm pretty sure she doesn't pronounce the dash.
No, she doesn't. Let me redo that.
The dash
All right.
be silent.
Yeah.
No, let's just keep that in.
Okay.
The dash be silent.
Well, that's what Lapidus heard. So
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Lapidus would just hear 14J.
Uh-huh. Lapidus, 14-J in the bathhouse, I guess.
That's right, with
Mhm.
Booth. In a different house, the one where Jack stayed, Ben plays the piano. Sawyer and Locke barge in, and Locke says, "What is code 14J?" Ben's eyes go wide with fear, and he asks, "Where did you hear that?" Locke tells him what happened, and Ben jumps to his feet, opens up the piano bench, and extracts a shotgun. Yep, hell yeah.
This whole fucking time, wasn't Jack sitting on there playing that same piano? And then
Yeah.
there's a fucking shotgun in
Yeah.
We used to have a piano as kids, and we didn't keep guns in the fucking piano bench.
there? I don't think that's where they go.
No.
Wow.
I was wondering what went in those things. So
Hmm.
Sheet music,
Sheet
generally.
music.
I
Yeah.
would think, yeah.
Sawyer steps back in a threatened shot, going for his pistol. But before Sawyer can draw, Ben cocks the weapon because he's serious and hands it to Sawyer. He says, "We need to get to the other house. It's easier to fortify, and we'll be in a better position on the tree lines." Locke is confused and wants to know what Ben is talking about. Before opening the door and walking out, Ben says, "They're here."
They're
the lost title
here. People our age will know what that's about.
Okay, flash forward number 1. We're now in the Saharan desert where Ben is regaining consciousness while lying sprawled out on the cracked, dry, beige earth. He's wearing a parka with the Dharma Initiative logo patch on the right chest and Halliwax nameplate on the left.
I find it a little odd that he's wearing a parka in the middle of the desert. So, like, did somebody just, like, beam him there, you know? Did he, like, teleport?
Yeah, it's Scotty. Yeah, I was about to ask, how did he get there?
How did the
do
polar
you want me
bear
to
get there?
answer that question?
This is not my beautiful house.
Yeah.
But Christy, short answer, something like that. But we'll find it out later.
Some sort of mist dissipates around him. Hint, hint. He sits up and scans the horizon. Brown earth and mountains, not another living thing in sight, not even a plant. No footprints can be seen around him. Ben gets to his knees and becomes sick, vomiting a little. There's a gash on his right arm that leaves part of the parka blood-soaked. Unsteadily, he gets to his feet and looks around. He hears the galloping of horses and looks for a place to hide. Yeah, there's anywhere to do that, buddy.
You better start digging.
Seriously.
Suddenly, 2 Bedouin men, one wearing a red headdress and the other gray, ride up on horses. They're both shouting and wielding AK-47s because don't they always? Ben raises his uninjured arm in a salute and says, "Hello." The one wearing red cocks his gun so Ben knows that he's serious and speaks to the other man in Arabic. Look around. He doesn't have any trail. The one in gray wonders maybe he fell from the sky. Ben is trying to communicate by asking if they speak English, Arabic, or Turkish. The one in gray gets off his horse and moves towards Ben, and speaking Arabic tells him not to move. Ben unzips his parka.
Mind if I whip this out?
Yeah, bam.
Maybe there's something we can work out, guys.
Yeah. Gray pulls it off. Ben winces as the parka pulls his injured arm. Gray pats Ben down. Coming to his right pocket, he feels something hard.
I had no idea how sexy this scene was going to sound.
Yeah.
This is
Gray
my
motions
rifle.
to Ben
This
to
is my gun.
That's right. Gray motions to Ben to remove the thing by patting it with the barrel of his gun. Ben smiles and waves innocently as he removes the object. It is a small metal cylinder which he holds up. Red and Gray are both confused just as Ben presses his thumb against the cylinder. It telescopes into a baton, and Ben whirls around, hitting the off-guard Gray in the head. Before Red can react,
bitch! Ben whoops some ass here.
Ben
It's nice
twirls
to
Gray's
see.
body around in front of him as a shield and commandeered his weapon to fire into the chest of Red.
Damn.
Yep, he knows his moves.
Apparently.
Red's horse takes off in the other direction, and Red's body falls to the ground. Ben flips Gray to the ground, and Gray puts his hands up in the air and says, in English, "Surrender, surrender." Ben replies, "Oh, so you do speak English," and then knocks him unconscious with the butt of the rifle.
That's that sentence there where he says, "Oh, so you do speak English." It reminds me of The Fifth Element, where Zorg is like selling those weapons, and then he's like, "Oh, so you are merchants after all." And I don't know why it popped into my head.
I kind of had the scene here, like he did so much ass whooping. I imagined the scene from The Matrix where the guy, he goes, "No, Lieutenant, your men are already dead." But this time, when they go, instead of Trinity there, it's Ben Linus.
It's Ben Linus like floating through the air.
Yeah, in like a black cat suit.
Oh no!
Oh my God.
I'm not sure that's his look.
No, probably not.
All right.
So he tears off a piece of Red's headdress to use as a makeshift tourniquet on his injured right arm, pulling it tight with his mouth. He mounts Gray's horse, and rides off in the direction from which the men came.
So
Damn,
why
Ben.
is his arm hurt? Why is he wearing a parka?
How did he end up in the middle of the desert?
I don't know, but isn't he in Tunisia where they found that polar bear?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Look, Darren's
on the
contemplating that now. He's like, wait a second. Did you realize that?
It's like Stargate.
Oh, maybe.
They have like little transporter things. So on the island, Ben is leading Sawyer and Locke across the grounds of the barracks. Sawyer says, "Let me guess, 14J ain't the code for the pizza boy."
Good guess. Good guess, Sawyer. Thank you. You're adding a lot to this conversation.
Ben tells him that it's an early warning system that someone tripped the panic switch at the security fence. It means one of his people has been captured. And so they arrive at Ben's old house, and he wants to know how many minutes they wasted debating whether or not to tell him the phone rang. Locke shrugs, 5 minutes. Ben replies, well, so much for our head start. Sawyer wants to get Frenchie and the kids to safety, but Ben tells him he sent them away yesterday. Sawyer inquires where, but Ben remains silent. Sawyer tosses a shotgun to Locke and says he's going to wake Claire and get her. Ben says there's no time. Locke turns to go with Sawyer, but Ben stops him and goes, it's very important that you survive about what's about to happen here, John. So I need you to stay close to me.
Whoa.
Of course, I'm sure Locke is super excited to hear that. I must survive. I'm important. Boing.
Boing.
Yeah. Locke wonders why he would do that, and Ben says that the people coming won't risk hurting him, so being close is Locke's best chance at survival.
Damn.
On the beach, Jack is examining the dead Dr. Ray. He notices his throat is slit and wants to know if Dan or Charlotte knows anything about it. Faraday says he was alive when he last saw him. Jack wants to know when that was, and Daniel replies, when? When is a relative term.
I could just picture Jack just being like, oh, shut the fuck up, Daniel. Just tell me.
Yeah, seriously.
Stop
Why
your
is everything
shit.
a goddamn puzzle with you?
Give me a straight fucking answer, Daniel.
Julia wants to know if the satellite phone is fixed, but Daniel tells her the mic was smashed, so the best they can do is send beeps and boops. Bernard wonders if they might be able to use it as a telegraph. Faraday gives a list of things he'd need, and Kate suggests...
Like fucking MacGyver.
That's right.
He's like, get me a paperclip and a straw. And
an avocado and a snorkel.
So Kate suggests they get it from the stuff they salvaged from the plane, because there are a lot of wires and shit in there. So
sure.
They leave together, and Jack turns his attention to Bernard, saying, you got a second? So Ben and Locke are moving furniture around to block the doors and windows to Ben's old house. Locke wants to know if Ben is scared of the people coming, and Ben confirms he is, which that was surprising. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, there's not much he's afraid of.
No. Hurley, holding Aaron, shows up and wants to know what's going on. Locke tells Hurley to get away from the window as they tip the bookshelf over. Hurley wants to know how Sawyer will get back in, and Ben says he's not.
Whoa.
You're on your own, buddy.
Apparently.
Now, this scene here.
This was hilarious.
It is. Outside, Sawyer's looking for Claire and asks an extra if he's seen her. The man wants to know why. Sawyer has a gun out, and before Sawyer can tell him to get inside, a gunshot pops, and the extra falls backward to the ground.
Bye.
Sawyer steps back as red blood splatters across his beige shirt. He points his pistol towards a tree line and fires a few shots. Gunfire erupts from the tree line. Bullets ricochet off the swing set, causing sparks. An incredibly
and they ricochet off of Michael, and then,
off his temple,
and then back over, and then.
Yeah. An incredibly stupid extra runs out to the gunfire to see what's happening and gets shot. Another idiot runs out to help her and gets shot. And I just saw that scene. I'm like, really? Are you...
Guys, here's what you don't do when you hear gunfire. You don't run into it.
What's going on? Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
What's happening out here with all this noise? Oh, my God.
So Sawyer fires another shot into the tree line. Machine gun fire erupts from the jungle. Yeah, so I figured Sawyer wouldn't have much of a chance there.
Yeah.
Dodging a hail of
even school resource officers run away from gunfire.
Oh, shit, right?
Oh, my God. Christy's bringing us down.
Sorry.
Even police in fucking Uvalde, Texas won't go towards the gunfire for almost an hour.
Yeah,
body armor and shields.
But these dipshits survived 96 days after a plane crash and then ran into gunfire.
Yep. So dodging a hail of bullets, Sawyer makes a run for it. He briefly takes cover behind a picnic table, lifting it up as a shield. He gets up to fire at a man firing a machine gun from the jungle. Sawyer's yelling for Claire as he ducks down behind the picnic table again, then makes a dash towards her house. Bullets, of course, impacting all around him. The fence getting torn up. They're all flying off as he runs. He fires a few more rounds before taking refuge behind a barbecue grill. That's actually better than a picnic table. It's metal.
And it's better than the picket fence that was exploding all around him.
Hopefully it's not got a propane tank.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Think about that. So now this is where he does something stupid. From the trees, someone launches a rocket towards the barracks. Sawyer sees where it's going and runs the last few yards towards Claire House, which is where the rocket was going.
Yeah, hello, what are you doing?
Run the other way. So the rocket strikes the house, which explodes in a fireball and collapses. Sawyer dives, rolls, and gets up to see what's left of the house. He screams, Claire!
Claire!
My baby!
Derek, at the end of this scene, before you know what happens with Claire, did you maybe think for a moment like, oh, that's why Kate has the baby?
It went through my mind, but I thought, there's a chance she could survive.
Okay.
So we go to flash forward number 2. Grizzled and dirty and still wearing a tourniquet, Ben steps into an open-air lobby of a busy Tunisian hotel. He steps up to the desk where the attendant, a young woman in an orange headdress, has her back turned. Ben rings the bell. She turns around. Her name tag says Nargis. She wishes him a good afternoon in an English accent and asks if this is his first time in Tunisia. Ben tells her no, but it's been a while before letting her know he is a preferred customer named Dean Moriarty.
Moriarty.
Here we go again.
That's the villain from Sherlock Holmes.
It is.
Yeah.
Lapidus.
And I like her book, too. It's very modern and up to date where she looks up his name.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah. Although I do believe in Sherlock Holmes' name is not Dean. It's something else, Moriarty. But it's the same last name. Anyway.
So he hands over a fake passport, and after the woman looks up his name, she looks shocked, and she hands him his key and asks if he needs anything else. Ben asks her the date, and she tells him October 24th. She finds it strange, but he also needs to confirm it's the year 2005. So as Ben climbs, which she does confirm, as Ben climbs the stairs, the news footage playing on a television set attracts his attention. Narrated by a female newscaster in Arabic, the footage shows Saeed hounded by cameras as he tries to get into a car. He says to the cameras, I just want to bury my wife in peace.
I wonder why he says that in English.
So that we understand.
Well,
I'm guessing.
she died. She died in Los Angeles, so maybe he wasn't in Iraq yet.
Yeah, I think there'd be more paparazzi in L.A. than
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he's one of the Oceanic Six. There's probably going to be paparazzi everywhere, but it could
Except on a golf course.
Yeah, it could be as simple as like Ben said, so we could understand it. But they could do, captions or whatever. But I think it's because she was run over in Los Angeles, and then they took her body back to Tikrit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to the barracks in Ben's old house, Hurley is holding a crying Aaron while peering out the window at Claire's exploded home.
I want to point out that the house, it's just like a black skeleton of a house.
Yeah.
Which that it looked like it burned 2 years ago. Like this just happened, right? Like this rocket just hit. And this whole thing looks like it's just a burned skeleton of a building. And
it still have flames on it if it was actually caught on fire.
Exactly.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. It would be, burning.
Yes.
Not just falling down.
Yeah, exactly.
But when is a relative term?
That's true.
Right. Thank you, Daniel.
Locke and Ben are stacking the couch in front of the door, and Locke suddenly points and shouts at Ben, right now I need you to tell me what's going on. Ben replies, I think the technical term is shock and awe.
Oh my God, I can't believe they put that
takes
in
you
there.
back to the day. Yeah.
That's true. That was during that time.
Yeah, it sure was.
They're trying to frighten me into surrendering. Locke wants to know why they stopped shooting when Hurley freaks out that Claire was in the explosion. Locke tells him to get the baby away from the window and go to the back room. When Hurley does that, Locke questions why Ben wants Locke to survive this, and Ben says, because there's only one person that can help us now, and that's Jacob. And we have to go to him together. God, I know Locke has a raging heart on right now.
Oh my God.
You know he does.
He needs me. He really needs
Jacob,
me.
yes. Locke says he doesn't know how to find Jacob, and Ben says, I know, but Hurley does.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Yep, he just went limp.
Well,
damn it.
Hurley saw the cabin
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
at
he
that
did.
one time.
Yeah.
Sawyer is outside screaming Claire's name as he digs for her body. He sees legs sticking out from under a blanket, and when he pulls it away, he finds a bloody Claire and asks if she's okay. And she says, Charlie?
Oh.
Yeah. He pulls her up into his arms as she's coming to and asking about Aaron. My baby. Sawyer tells her he's safe and that they've got to move now.
All right. I got to interject something here. How the fuck is she alive?
Yeah.
The entire
Well.
house exploded or burned to a crisp. She's sitting there with all of her hair, her eyebrows, she's a little bit of blood on her.
Maybe she was out back, hanging out in the backyard.
When people were shooting?
Yeah, she's getting a tan or something.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's
pulling a-
houses that have exploded here from gas explosions, and the people survived. I mean, the whole house was demolished, but for some miracle, they survived.
Did they have their hair?
I don't know. They never really showed their pictures, but
Okay. My guess is that if you're in a flash explosion like that, you're probably going to be short some hair whenever it's said and done.
Well, maybe the island wouldn't let her lose her hair.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can
right.
think of is that the island somehow was like, oh, I've got work for you to do, therefore fire does not hurt you.
Yeah.
Call her
Right.
The
Khaleesi
island
or something.
likes Claire pretty,
Yeah, guess so.
not singed.
And not goth.
And not goth, for fuck's sake. Not goth.
I like goth, but I didn't like goth Claire.
I'm pretty sure you fucked her, though.
What? Fuck someone without liking them.
In fact, it's
That's
more
true.
enjoyable
They're
that
not-
way.
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
Oh, my God. All right. You win.
In the house, Hurley takes a laundry basket and sets it on Ben's bed, placing a pillow inside to create a makeshift cradle for the baby, which I thought was pretty ingenious by Hurley there,
Yeah.
having no baby experience.
He's a good Uncle Hurley.
Mm-hmm. He sets the crying lad in it, as Sawyer is now outside screaming for them to open the door. Hurley looks out the window to see Sawyer running with Claire in his arms. He hastens to the front door and tries to move the couch away, and he hears a weapon cock because Ben's serious. Hugo, you don't want to do that.
Wow.
Outside, Sawyer makes it to the door and tries to kick it in while yelling, "Open the damn door!" Inside, Hurley is determined to defy Ben. He lifts a large ottoman and chucks it through the front window. Good job,
Yay,
Hurley.
Hurley.
Hell yeah.
Yay, Hurley.
Sawyer runs to it and deposits Claire inside, handing her to Hurley. He tells everyone that Claire got her bell wrong,
Yeah.
but it looks like she'll be okay. Locke pulls the drape shut. Sawyer crouches in a doorway, trying to catch his breath. He wants to know why they would start shooting without even saying what they wanted, and Ben tells him, "Those people were murdered to make you angry, James, so you'd be more likely to come storming in here and throw me to the wolves."
Holy fuck.
Sawyer thinks that's a great plan and asks Locke to help him throw Ben out the window on account of 3.
Sawyer's like, yep, sounds good.
Yep, that's a
Wolves?
plan.
Here he comes.
Just then the doorbell rings.
Oh, boy.
They all point their guns and Locke runs to the door. Ben singing a little, I wouldn't if I were you.
God, he's menacing.
I know. Sawyer says, "Shut up," before peering through the drapes and pointing his pistol. He nods and runs to the door and helps Locke move the couch and bookshelf away. Ben points his rifle and Locke cocks his pistol as Sawyer opens the door and pulls in the man standing outside. They slam the door shut again and points his pistol at Miles, and he says, "Who the hell let you out?" Miles replies, "The people who gave me this." As he hands over a walkie-talkie, he adds, "They want to talk."
Whoa.
Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah.
Flash forward number 3. An American military truck rolls through a dirt street into Crete, Iraq, with an American soldier guarding it as he walks along behind. Arab women in black clothes and headscarves clutching their children line the edges of the street. More American soldiers follow, and behind them a funeral procession on foot with a wooden coffin being carried on the shoulders of pallbearers, all Arab men. Up on a balcony, a woman lifts her son up so she can watch the procession, and a man in front carries a framed picture of the deceased. It's fucking Nadia.
What?
Nadia is deceased.
He married Nadia?
His wife. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
The men in the procession chant Shahada.
Shahada.
Women in the procession carrying a framed photograph sob. A white van with the word press painted on the corner of its windshield pulls up. The van stops. Out of the driver's seat steps Ben Linus. He crosses the street, turns a corner, and goes up the stairs of a building, passing a man in a turban as he climbs the stairs through a chain link gate to the roof. He removes his sunglasses, scans the street below, and pulls out a camera and a telephoto lens, assembling them with a snap. He's like James Bond now.
I know, right? He's like whooping ass in the desert and he's like doing fucking reconnaissance and stuff. And it's amazing to see him this way because he's just always sort of, well, when you first meet him, you know, he's playing the victim for so long and he's just plays this pathetic guy. And then now even in the time on the island, like he's gotten sick, right? He had the cancer and, you know, there's just so many things that, like, although he's like an evil mastermind, he's come across as fairly weak physically. And then you see him come off the island and he's like, you said he's James Bond. Like, who the hell is this Benjamin Linus?
No shit. He first focuses on a dark-skinned, bald man enjoying coffee, leaning up against the corner of a building as the funeral procession goes by. Takes a few pictures, then Ben focuses on a pallbearer in a black Western suit, takes a picture of him. It's Saeed, who looks up directly in the camera as Ben takes the picture. Startled, Ben ducks, hides, and runs down the stairs across the street, making a beeline for his van. But before he can get there, he is tackled to the ground. Saeed says, "You vultures, you follow me to Tikrit, you spy on me." As he pulls his fist back to punch the paparazzi, he notices it's Ben Linus and says, "What are you doing here?"
Well, there you go. So the other paparazzi was at Los Angeles because he says, you follow me here. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Ben replies, "I'm here to find the man that murdered your wife."
Excuse me?
What? Saeed wants to know how Ben got off the island, and Ben tells him that he used Desmond's boat to get to Fiji, and then chartered a plane. Yes, he did. That's exactly how he got there.
I don't think so.
Saeed wants to know why Ben is there now. Ben says, "You remember the name Charles Whitmore, don't you? The man who tried to convince the world that your plane was on the bottom of the ocean. There was a man at her procession. He goes by the name of Ismail Bakir. He's one of Whitmore's men. He takes a photo from his pocket and hands it to Saeed. It looks like an automated traffic camera photo, and the driver of the car is the same man Ben was just taking photos of." He continues, "Bakir was last seen 5 days ago in Los Angeles, caught by a traffic camera, speeding away from the corner of La Brea and Santa Monica. Saeed notices that location is 3 blocks from where Nadia was killed. He's confused as to why these people would want to hurt her. Ben says, "I don't know, but they did." And Saeed crumples the photo into a fist.
So Saeed just takes Ben's word for it that this is
He
the person
certainly seems to, yeah.
Yeah.
We got a picture of him,
I would almost expect him to be a little more skeptical than that.
Because there probably wouldn't be thousands of people in LA at that moment. I mean, come on, billions.
Yeah, but
Well,
I mean,
how do we know that that's where that picture was actually taken?
right.
You know, how do we know that Bakir is really the one who, you know, killed Nadia? Like, he's just fucking trusting Ben.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
Yep.
Well, unless something else happened on the island before they all got off that we don't know about.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. So back to Ben's house at the barracks. Sawyer pats down Miles while Locke interrogates him. Ben is in the corner thinking, so we know something's going to happen here.
He's working a plan.
Yep. He has that look. Miles says there may be 6 people there right now, and he thought they were security to guard Ben once they captured him. He had no idea they were mercenaries. Ben chimes in to say, "Well, Miles, sounds like you're not going to collect your $3.2 million. Miles tells Ben to take the radio and talk to them because they have a hostage. Ben says, Well, then they've badly miscalculated because every single one of my people is prepared to die in service to this island. So Miles yells, "It's your daughter." And you just see
Oh.
Ben's face.
Fuck.
Yep.
A frightened Ben takes the radio and says, "Hello?" Cocksucking Kimi responds and wants to know if he's... hate this guy. If he's speaking to Benjamin Linus. Ben confirms he is, so Kimi introduces himself as an employee of Charles Widmore. Sawyer whispers to Locke, "Who's Charles Widmore?"
Catch up, Sawyer.
"Come on, Sawyer." And Locke whispers back, "Later." Kimi
He's like,
asks
no,
Ben
tell
to
me
go-
now. Tell me now. I need to come up with
Please,
nicknames for him.
Kimi asks Ben to go to the east window so they can speak face to face. Once Ben moves to a position in the window where he sees Kimi, he says, "All right, Mr. Linus, these are my terms. You're going to step out the front door, put your hands above your head, and you're going to walk straight to me. Once I have you in my custody, then I promise you that no one else in that house will be harmed."
Yeah, sure.
So Ben strolls out the front door, puts his hands. No, he actually points out that once Kimi has him, there's no reason to let anyone else live. Kimi smiles and asks, "What kind of guy do you think I am?"
A schmarmy one.
And Ben replies, "Martin Christopher Kimi, former First Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, served with distinction from 1996 to 2001, but since then worked with a number of mercenary organizations, specifically in Uganda. So I know exactly what kind of man you are, Mr. Kimi, and we can dispense with the formalities."
Whoa.
Impressive. Kimi whistles, and another man brings Alex forward. Kimi pushes her to her knees and says, "Get your ass out here right now, or I'm going to kill your daughter."
Oh my God.
Ben pauses for a moment and asks if he can present a counterproposal. Kimi says he's listening, so Ben says, "You and your friends, you turn around, walk back to your helicopter, you fly away and forget you ever heard of this island."
So he
Good
seems
counterproposal.
real confident here, doesn't he?
Very confident.
Confident enough to take it a step further in a moment. And boy, is he surprised later.
Kimi hands Alex the radio and tells her to say goodbye to her father. Alex, sobbing, tells Ben that they're serious and they've already killed Coral and her mother. Ben tells her that everything is under control and is going to be okay. She's begging him now, "Please, Daddy, just please, please."
This is gut-wrenching scene.
Kimi gives Ben 10 seconds to make a decision and starts counting down. Ben says, "I stole her as a baby from an insane woman. She's a pawn, nothing more. She means nothing to me. I'm not coming out of this house. So if you want to kill her, go ahead and do it." But before Ben can finish his thought, Kimi shoots Alex dead, and her limp body falls to the ground. Yeah, I couldn't believe this actually happened.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to do it.
Neither did Ben.
Neither did Ben, because he's in shock and stares as Kimi stands over her body for a moment before walking away.
This reminded me of, we talk about Deadwood a lot because it's Ben's absolute favorite show. And one of the things that Deadwood is famous for is killing off a very famous main character in is it the third or fourth episode?
It's the fourth episode.
Fourth episode? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sort of reminded me of that. Not that Alex is like, some super important main character, not in that way, but just in that, oh my God, I didn't ever think they would do that.
Well,
That's horrific.
Game of Thrones, Ned Stark was the main fucking character.
Yep.
Well, right. Well, Game of Thrones came long after Deadwood, but yeah, same thing. Same sort of thing where it's unimaginable that whatever you're reading or watching or something would take that step. And I feel like that's how Alex's death hit me.
I think that the first book came before Deadwood.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That could be. You're right. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the TV show, but that could be, yeah. Well, now I'm going to have to look that up. You can keep going, Derek.
So Alex's dead body now lies in the foreground with Claire's wrecked house burning in the background. Now it's burning.
Now it's burning. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. It caught fire later.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
Time is just strange on that island. Yeah. Still standing in the same place, Ben is staring at the scene in horror. Yeah, that look on that face.
Well,
Sawyer
we'll
tells Locke-
talk more about like what was going through his head in this moment when we get to the last scene. But
Right.
he clearly, I mean, he was like, wait a second, that wasn't supposed to happen. Like he definitely thought that he had the upper hand when he didn't, which does not happen to Ben Linus.
And this whole thing about I stole her as a baby from an insane woman. So,
I stole the baby.
Sawyer tells Locke there's no sign of anyone. They must have disappeared into the jungle. Locke thinks they'll be back in 20 minutes when it's dark to get Ben. Sawyer wants to hand him over. Locke doesn't think it matters that the people will kill them no matter what they do. Yeah, obviously. Sawyer says he has no intention of dying, and Ben suddenly blurts out, he changed the rules. Locke and Sawyer go over to Ben to ask him what he's talking about, and Sawyer's still trying to convince Locke to hand bend over. Trying to convince Locke to hand Ben over when Ben takes off to a secret room. Sawyer chases him, but it's too late. Ben vanishes into the room and triggers a security door to come down. Sawyer is pounding on the door, demanding Ben open it. Inside, Ben pulls aside a rack of suits and removes a false wall to disclose an ancient stone portal with ancient markings. What is that thing?
What?
The thick door gives away to his body weight as Ben pushes inside. What is that?
Ben's got he's got like secret rooms in his secret rooms.
Yeah, he really does. It's pretty great. So Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire was first published on August 1st, 1996, and Deadwood came out in 2004. So you are very correct about that, my dear. Derek, who's he and what rules did he change?
Exactly. Yeah, these rules. What are these rules? I didn't know there were some rules.
Yeah, well, Ben obviously thought he was following him and that was going to keep his daughter alive. And
I'm thinking the he is Charles Widmore.
You think the he is Charles Widmore? Okay.
Yeah, they're obviously at odds for something.
Island,
maybe. Flash forward to number 4. Ben sits at a cafe in Secret sipping tea at the counter. He's eyeing Bakir, who sits outside reading a newspaper. Bakir gets up, and Ben abandons his beverage and follows. He looks around through the streets and gives chase through a crowded marketplace, pushing aside shoppers and a beaded curtain, finding himself in an empty alleyway. Suddenly, Ben feels a gun in his back, and Bakir tells him to walk and pushes him into a corner. He wants to know who Ben is and why he's following him. Ben says, "My name is Benjamin Linus, and I need you to take a message to Mr. Widmore for me." What? The man seems to recognize Ben's name and asks what the message is, just as Saeed puts a bullet in him.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, Bakir.
Bakir falls forward, dead, and Saeed points the gun down to shoot him another 5 times before letting the gun click, 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 because it was empty. Ben says, "That should do it." I love it.
He has a sense of humor all the time.
Yes, I love it.
And he is fucking hilarious.
Did he say he's like, that should do it?
Yeah.
Calm down, Saeed.
At least it was 6 shots, so it wasn't like a Hollywood gun that had 20 shots in it for a revolver.
Those are special guns.
So then Ben turns to walk away. Saeed asks, "Wait, where do you think you're going?" Ben replies, "We're finished here, Saeed. Turn around and walk away. Mourn your loss. Get on with your life." Saeed points out that he has no life anymore. Ben tells him to go home and grieve because if he lets it turn to anger, it will never go away. He says, "This is my war. It's not yours." War. Ben tries to leave again, but Saeed stops him to say, "I spent the last 8 years of my life searching for the woman I love. I finally found her, and I married her, and I buried her yesterday. So don't tell me this is not my war, Benjamin. Who's next?" Ben says he'll be in touch and turns to walk away as a slow grin appears on his face.
Oh,
Gotcha.
God. The grin. Does the grin give it away? Does the grin tell you that he's grifting?
Yep.
Oh, all right.
It just means I've got you.
I got you. Yeah.
Now Saeed's war now, too.
Yeah.
He's manipulated you. He's used your weakness to manipulate you. He's got you.
Back at Ben's house, Sawyer is pounding on the secret door. Hurley and Claire, holding Aaron, show up to ask what's going on. Sawyer stops to ask if she's all right, and she says, yeah, a bit wobbly, but I'll live.
I imagine she says, having a blast.
Yeah.
Oh! Oh, no.
Miles appears to say, well, I wouldn't be too sure about that. The door suddenly opens, and Ben comes out, pushing his way past Sawyer. He picks up the walkie-talkie, puts it in his pocket, and says, okay, listen to me very carefully. I need all of you to do exactly what as I say. In a minute, we have to run from this house and as fast as we can. At that moment, when I give the order, I want you to head straight for the tree line. Just then, the house starts to shake, glass is shattering, and Ben looks out the window. A giant billowing centipede of smoke barrels out of the tree line. Yep, and it's back, too. That thing is big. Out of smoke, barrels out of the tree line like a freight train bound for hell. There we go. Lightning arcing inside the black smoke. It roars and chitters and makes all the roller coaster noises. It sweeps up a little tail of smoke behind as it passes Ben's house. Ben screams, okay, outside now.
I think the smoke monster, they got a little better CGI as the seasons went on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this thing's way more badass than the original one.
Oh, yeah. So he can control that or something?
Oh, I don't know.
So the whole crew rush outside. Ben leads and watches as the muzzle flashes and lightning bolts light up the night and strobe. It's a great sight, too. Gunfire and screaming can be heard mixed in with the terrible deep roar of the monster. Black smoke curls and twists around in the jungle. Distantly, men shout order and chaos. Locke screams, what did you do? As a tree uproots and flies away, Hurley asks, did you just call that thing?
Who let the smoke out? Who? I'm really sorry for that.
A man in fatigues carrying a machine gun runs towards the group. Sawyer readies to shoot him, but no need. The soldier kneels down and fires his weapon vainly into the smoke.
Oh my god.
The monster envelops him and shoots a tentacle at him and knocks him to the ground, wraps around him and drags him away, clawing at the turf, leaving his gun behind. The man disappears into the jungle, screaming in terror, and Miles looks on incredulously, then turns chicken and runs the opposite direction.
Damn, Miles.
A voice can be heard yelling, fall back. Ben tells him to head for the trees and he'll catch up. Locke wants to know where Ben is going, and he tells him he needs to say goodbye to his daughter. Wow.
I love how he says, when we get out of here, we're going to run like hell. And the first thing they do, they get out there and they just stand there.
Yep, they're staring at it. Like the extras. Ben extends a hand. Locke hands him one of the shotguns he carries, then runs off. Ben solemnly staggers to the dead body of his daughter, Alex, and turns her over. He kneels down and sobs, then kisses her tenderly on the forehead, which is streaked with blood. Wow, the caring Ben.
Yeah.
Maybe
see, Christy, he's not all
after
bad.
He let her get shot right in front of him.
That wasn't the plan.
He changed the rules, Christy.
Yeah, that wasn't the rules. So back to the beach crew where Faraday's in the kitchen tapping on the rigged up telegraph. Little electric sparks are firing, and Dan is shocked he may actually have a signal. He taps out, what happened to the doctor? You hear the dits and dashes and boops and bleeps come back in reply. And Faraday says, okay, they didn't actually exactly say what happened to the doctor, but your friends are fine. Helicopter's coming back in the morning. Which, I know, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Jack looks to Bernard, who says, he's lying. What the message said was, what are you talking about? The doctor is fine.
I imagine Rose coming down. Bernard, you're not Samuel Morse. You're just
oh my god.
You're just a dentist.
You're just a dentist. What, are you a telegraph operator now?
Yeah, you're not a telegraph operator. Exactly.
I love Daniel just kind of turns and looks at Bernard and goes, you know Morse code.
Yes,
didn't expect that from a dentist.
Jack wants to know what that means, but Daniel claims he doesn't know. Jack has had enough and grabs Faraday by the shirt. Oh, all right, Jack. There we go. He says, were you ever going to take us off this island? Daniel looks pained and says, no. Jack looks like he's about to cry and doubles over in pain. Kate tries to steady him, but he pushes her off and staggers away, clutching his lower side.
Damn. This is a low moment for Jack because He is
All of his
now
hopes.
realizing that Locke and Ben were right.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was wrong.
Not only
That-
that, but at the beginning of the episode, he said, "My gut's telling me we're going to get off this island." And Kate said, "I thought your gut was sick."
Was sick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I mean, some of them he does get off the island, so I guess his gut was right about that. But yeah, I can't imagine from Jack's point of view having to.
I think his
sit
gut was
there.
wrong about the motive of the
Yeah.
freighter people.
Yeah, but to have
Yeah.
to be in that moment and realize that your two nemesis, I don't know how to pluralize that
Nemesi.
word.
Nemesis, maybe.
Nemesis, were correct the entire time. Like that has just, maybe that's what's eating him from the inside.
So it's nighttime in the jungle, and the barracks crew are gathered. Sawyer tells Miles
Torches
that his
ablaze.
Oh,
Torches
yes.
ablaze.
Lots of torches, yes.
See, there must be multiple torch farms because it doesn't take them a day and a half to, retrieve new
They got
torches.
them wherever they want.
Yep.
I think they just have like a Dharma station with Oompa Loompas in it. That's what they do. Is make torches and sing songs.
Oompa loompa doompa dee doo.
Right.
I
I'm
have
gonna make
another
a torch for you. There you go.
So Sawyer tells Miles that his chopper buddies ran that way if he wants to follow. Miles decides it's safer with them, and Sawyer hands him a torch. Locke looks at Ben and says, "Sorry about your daughter." Ben replies, "Thank you, John."
I think Sawyer was probably pissed off here because with Miles joining him, he's like, there's only room for one smarmy asshole in this group, and that's me.
I'm the one that gives nicknames around here,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah,
That's
seriously. Sawyer Jr.
Locke then says, "That being said, you lied to me. You told me you didn't know what the smoke monster was." Here he goes again. Ben tells him that he asked Jacob all about the monster once they get to the cabin. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Sawyer says, "Hang on, Jacob? Who the hell's Jacob?" What do you know, Sawyer?
I know who's Whitmore, who's Jacob. What have you been doing,
He's
Sawyer?
so out of the loop.
Oh, he
My
is.
God.
He's been playing house with Hurley.
True.
Oh,
Yep,
that's
yep.
true. Yeah.
Too much risk.
Okay.
Ben tells him Jacob is the man who's going to tell them what to do next. Oh? Sawyer's had enough and says, "You know what? I'm done with all this. I never should have followed you wackos in the first place. I'm going back to the beach. And Claire and the kid are coming with me." Claire agrees, and then Miles says he's going with Sawyer too. Of course, Sawyer tries to leave with Claire, Aaron, Hurley, and Miles when Locke cocks his gun, so he knows he's serious.
Mm-hmm.
Sawyer stops to ask if Locke has lost his mind, and Locke says, "Hugo stays with us."
Oh, my
Sawyer
God.
whips around and cocks his gun, pointing at Locke seriously, and says, "Not a chance."
Oh, we got a standoff.
Hurley asks to be left out of this, but Locke tells him they need him to find the cabin. Sawyer calls Locke a crazy son of a bitch. Crazy son of a bitch, but then Hurley says, "Stop. Put the guns down. I'll go with Locke."
I kind of
Wow.
love that Sawyer is like being the protector. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's
He's really
nice.
defensive of Hurley now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they put their guns down, and Sawyer tells Hurley that he doesn't have to do this and tells Locke, "You harm so much as one hair on his curly head, I'll kill you."
All right.
I like that.
Yeah.
And Locke replies, "Fair enough."
Okay.
Aaron starts to cry, and everyone but Locke, Hurley, and Ben leave. Locke asks Ben which way to go, and Ben says, "Follow me."
Oh, boy.
So we're at flash forward at number 5. A black taxicab pulls up to a curb at a London city street. Ben steps out. He looks up at the building that is his destination. He hands a payment to the cabbie, then putting his hand in his coat pocket, walks through the gates of the building. He opens the doors and steps to the side, and a doorman greets him or leans over a front desk. Ben walks right past the doorman. The doorman halts Ben with a few words. "Good evening, sir. May I help you?" Ben tells the man that he's here to see Mr. and Mrs. Kendrick in 4E. The doorman's concerned about the hour, but Ben says they're expecting him. If he'd like to call up and check. Ben smiles. In his hands behind his back, he clutches the closed baton that we saw him use on the Bedouins in Tunisia. So as he's speaking, he moves the baton further outward as if in cautious preparation. But the doorman says, "No need, sir. Good night, sir."
Woo.
Ben, hiding the baton deeper in his hand again, turns and heads towards the elevator. He steps in, and the door closes on him. He pulls out his black gloves and starts picking the lock in an
Uh-oh.
elevator. next to the P button, which of course is the penthouse suite.
Hmm.
It lights up and the elevator begins moving. With a ding, Ben steps out of the elevator into the darkened penthouse, and he steps into the bedroom and says, "Wake up, Charles."
Oh, my God.
What? So Widmore turns on the bedside lamp and says, "I wondered when you were going to show up. I see you've been getting more sun."
How can you see I've been getting more sun? I'm standing in the dark.
Yeah, it's freaking dark in that room. And Ben tells him that Iraq is lovely this time of year.
Oh, my God.
And he notices a bottle of McCutcheon by the bed and asks how long Widmore's been sleeping like that. And Widmore says, "When the nightmare started," and pours himself a glass. He asks Ben if he's come here to kill him, and Ben replies, "We both know we can't do that. I'm here, Charles, because you murdered my daughter." Widmore says, "Don't stand there looking at me with those horrible eyes of yours and lay blame for the death of that poor girl on me when we both very well I didn't murder her at all, Benjamin. You did."
Oh, my God.
So he's
also, what
pulling
the
the
hell
bin
does he
on
mean?
him.
Sorry, what?
So he's pulling the bin on him like what
Yeah.
Ben did with
With Michael, yes.
Michael. Yep.
But also, what the hell does he mean? We both know I can't do that? What do you mean you can't kill
Yeah,
him?
what does that mean? Can't.
What does that
Yeah.
mean, Derek?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Visibly upset, Ben denies that's the truth. Widmore says that Ben has some audacity to sneak into his bedroom to pretend he's a victim. He leans towards Ben and says, "I know who you are, boy, what you are. I know that everything you have, you took from me. So once again, I ask you, why are you here?" Ben replies, "I'm here, Charles, to tell you that I'm going to kill your daughter. Penelope, is it?
Oh,
And
no.
once she's gone, yep. And once she's gone, once she's dead, then you'll understand how I feel. And you'll wish you hadn't changed the rules."
What the fuck does that mean?
Widmore claims that Ben will never find her. Ben turns to leave, and Widmore says, "That island's mine, Benjamin. It always was. It will be again." Ben turns around to say, "But you'll never find it."
Oh, my God.
Widmore points out that apparently the hunt is on for both of them. Ben says, "I suppose it is. Sleep tight, Charles." And then he leaves, pulling the door shut behind him. End of episode.
Wow.
Wow. Yep.
Wow.
Poor Penelope.
Yeah, hi. That's how Ben is going to end up back in the bottom of my rankings, is if he kills Penny.
Yeah, he better not touch Penelope.
Do not. All right, guys, we've got some fun facts. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yes.
All right. Since we had not one, not two, but three fucking idiots who ran into gunfire to be shot in this episode, today's fun facts are about red shirts.
Red shirts, yes. Star Trek.
It's about red shirts. Those of you our age and older likely know the origin of the red shirt, but for those who don't, a red shirt is a stock character in fiction who dies soon after being introduced. The term originates from the original Star Trek, which aired from 1966 to 1969. In the series, whenever the crew went around to a new planet, they always had security personnel who traveled with them. The security team always wore red uniforms, and they were always the characters to die. Their deaths were used to dramatize the potential peril that the main characters face. The first instance of what now is an established trope can be seen in Star Trek Season 1, Episode 7, What Are Little Girls Made Of? Of the 55 crew members killed in the series, 24 were wearing red shirts compared to 15 who had unconfirmed shirt colors, 9 in gold shirts, and 7 in blue shirts. Eventually, the term red shirt could be found in other media as it came to represent disposable characters destined for suffering or death. And since we can't go an episode without making a Family Guy reference, in Season 1, Episode 21, Never Met the Dead Man, they spoof a scene from Star Trek that includes Captain Kirk and Ensign Ricky wearing a red shirt. Captain Kirk says, "All right, Men, this is a dangerous mission, and it's likely one of us will be killed. The landing party will consist of myself, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and Ensign Ricky. And Ensign Ricky replies, "Aw, crap." And that's a red shirt. All right. Shall we do some best and worst moments? How about we start with Ben this week?
I think my favorite moment in this was right after Ben was talking with Saeed after Saeed had shot the guy that killed his wife, supposedly, when Ben turns away and then he gets that grin on his face when he's walking away.
Yep, the Ben grin.
Yeah.
Ben grin. Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Worst, I've got 3 worst scenes. 1, Claire almost completely unscathed in an exploding house.
Where's Caleb when we need him?
Ben crying over Alex's body was a pretty tough one. And then, obviously Alex getting shot.
Of course, Alex getting shot. How about you, Christy? What'd you think?
For best moments, it was Sawyer doing everything that he possibly could to protect Claire and Hurley. Worst is Ben letting Alex get killed.
Yeah.
Ben letting.
Well, that's the way she
Change
thinks.
the rules.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Derek? What's your best and worst?
Best moment was when he released the smoke monster on the mercenaries. Just that thing going over there and taking them out. And I also like the end scene where Ben just strolls into Charles Widmore's bedroom and he says, "I'm going to kill your daughter."
Uh-huh.
And the worst moment was Alex getting killed by Kimi.
Yeah, you and I have the same. Alex was murdered. It's just obviously horrific. And I had for my best moment, Smoke Monster wrecks the mercenaries. So pretty much the same thing. Wow, let's do some character rankings. I am curious to see what happens to Ben after this episode. Let's start with our Ben.
I only have 2 on the bottom. Second from the bottom is Charles Widmore. And on the bottom, absolutely, it's Kimi. I mean, how could it be anybody else? At the top, I've got Bernard in 3rd place. He kind of coming through strong with the Morse code.
Morse code knowledge she got.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Rose wasn't running his ass down, and he got something done. 2nd place, I've got Hurley for his sort of, I guess in the same way that he and Sawyer were both being protective of the people in their group. And then in the top slot, I've got James Bond, Ben Linus. I mean, the dude, he's just all over the world, like whooping up Bedouins with AK-47s and, taking, pictures of hitmen and just all kinds of shit. And then doing his thing, getting into hotel rooms and just doing what he does. So, it was a lot of fun. I'm going to fuck Claire. And the reason for this is because she obviously is explosion proof. And if I want to pass my seeds on to another generation, it would help them to be at least half explosion proof.
when you explode into her.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're having a baby with Claire now?
We'll see.
Okay. All right.
She's on the island, I don't know if that could happen. Anyhow,
okay.
And I'm going to kill Kimi because, dude,
yeah,
he's just got to go. He's got to go.
All right. For me, I have 3rd worst, Kimi, because he's awful. 2nd worst, I have Kimi, because he's awful. And 1st worst, I have Kimi, because he fucking killed Alex. What the hell? On my top. 3rd, I have got Sawyer. He has turned into Papa Bear, apparently, and I like it. 2nd, I've got Saeed. While I do have a slight issue with the way he just believed Ben all of a sudden, it's also that strong, determined Saeed that I'm always drawn to, and we saw a lot of that with the who's next. It's like, whoa. And Yeah, obviously I put Ben Linus at the top, okay? I know we're going to argue about this with Christy, I guess, but he's the best at being bad until now. We saw him have a little bit of a weak spot, but the reason that I left him in the top is because even though he's the best at being bad, he obviously has some sense of honor if he was willing to play by a set of rules that Charles Widmore was not. And so that's why I left him still on the top. I am obviously going to kill Kimi. And I'm fucking Saeed this week. It's some of that grief sex again. It's going to be good. Derek, how about you?
All right, my second worst, because I didn't have 3, was Charles Widmore, because he broke the rules.
Yes. Even though we don't know what the fuck those rules are,
right.
He obviously broke them.
And of course, first is Kimi. My third best was Hurley, because I like how he was, taking care of the baby. And you also kind of diffused him at the end, so, Locke and Sawyer won't shoot each other.
Right.
And his second is Sawyer, because he's been very protective of the others now. And of course, my best for being James Bond, mastermind, world traveler, bad guy, good guy, and even has a little bit of a heart, Ben Linus.
Wow, that was a hell of a review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that on his back book cover.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry there, Christy and Lacey. I'm going to fuck Alex.
God damn it.
Pre-mortem, though. Pre-mortem.
Oh, well, okay. At least that's all right.
Pre-mortem, not post-mortem. Yeah. And I'm going to kill Kimi.
Oh, my God. He's dropped off a cliff. Oh,
he's going to plunge. Yeah.
All right, Christy. What do you think?
Okay, in the bottom 3, we're going to go with third worst is Widmore for being Widmore, Kimi for being Kimi, and the worst of the worst is Ben for letting Alex get killed.
Oh, all right.
Okay. In my top 3, in the 3 spot, Bernard for knowing Morse code and calling out Daniel when he was lying.
Yep.
Hurley for helping Sawyer and Claire get into the house. He was like, no, fuck that. They're getting in. And Sawyer for doing everything that he could to find and protect Claire, and then for also trying to be protective of Hurley at the end.
Yeah.
I am going to fuck Hurley and Sawyer, and I'm going to kill Ben.
All right. I don't know. I think he might still be on the top. Ben, update us.
Yeah, very little movement on the bottom other than Kimi falling further and further down. We still have the Dr. Harper and Dr. Ray both with negative 24 points. Miles still with negative 25 points. Again, I don't think he's moved from that point total in like 4 or 5 episodes. And Kimi is at negative 105 points, a precipitous fall that I think is a record by far, because I know we've had people fall to like 119, 120, something like that, but it takes him all season to do that. He's done that in like 4 or 5 episodes. So he's
the
definitely
worst.
the most loathsome character we've yet to encounter.
Yes,
definitely.
he is.
Yeah.
In the top 3, we have a little bit of movement here. We've got Juliet and Hurley swapping places. Juliet falls to 3rd place with 45 points. Hurley jumps up to 2nd place with 54 points. And Ben Linus retains his lead with 59 points.
Oh, they're only 5 points apart, though.
We're going to have to start fucking Ben Linus now.
No, he fucks us.
Boy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rules.
All right. Shall we do some final impressions? Let's start with Christy.
It was a really good episode. I definitely, am still angry at Ben for letting Alex get murdered that way. But it was neat seeing Ben off the island, and now we have the questions of how the fuck did he get into the desert wearing a parka? And he's got a lot of power off the island too, because he's, he can name drop in Tunisia,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good episode. I liked it a lot.
All right, Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I liked this episode. I think the thing that, other than Alex dying, which was obviously not ideal, the thing that this episode sorts of hints at is that there is a much bigger game going on here that we only understand pieces of. There's rules that all of a sudden the rules have changed. We don't know what those rules are. And then this sort of asks, kind of begs the question of like, what is this conflict? What are they fighting for? What are the stakes? Obviously, they both want the island, but for what? Is this just two rich assholes fighting over something to have bragging rights, or is there some sort of existential sort of component here going on? So I think the fact that this, it says the shape of things to come, and it does sort of give you that. It's like, okay, you understand that there is a playing field. You don't understand the rules. You don't even really understand the goal, but you know that the game is afoot. Changed. Yeah. You know that the game is afoot. And I think it also was fun to watch Ben just gallivanting around the world, kicking ass. A couple of plot holes aside, I thought it was a really fun episode.
Yeah, agreed. I thought it was a great episode. Nothing in this season or even really in the series stands up to the constant, but this, I think, came close in the way that there's so much happening and so many questions that are introduced here. Obviously, shocking, horrific death as part of it. But I think the biggest and most important part of the episode comes at the very end, the conversation between Ben and Widmore. When, like you say, Ben, your head is sort of spinning, trying to figure out, like, okay, wait a second. Is it just these two jerk-offs like fighting over this island because they're rich assholes, or is there still some mystical part to this island? And who the hell still is Jacob, and how does he fit into this? And what is this rivalry? And it just it opens up so many more doors into the show, and I think that it I don't know, it's exciting, makes me want more, and wants to desperately know what the hell they're talking about and what the fuck the rules are. So, loved it. All right, Derek. What about you?
I thought it was an excellent episode, even though, Alex was killed by Kimi. We found out that, Ben can travel anywhere in the world, and he can also control the smoke monster. He has like some sort of super secret room in his house with all these ancient hieroglyphs or writing on them. That's probably something important. Yeah, I think they're fighting. It's more than just two rich assholes fighting over the island. I think they want it for something that the island can do, like some sort of mystical thing. I mean, hell, it can. It makes people walk that were in wheelchairs. Mm-hmm. So I got a few questions after this episode. I'm like, how did Ben get to Tunisia? How the fuck does Ben control the smoke monster? And is Alex not Ben's daughter after all?
Oh, because he said he kidnapped her. Well, what were you thinking? Did you think that he and Danielle had fucked?
I don't know. I mean, he said he kidnapped from a crazy woman, and they used to call her that in the beginning of the series. So,
right.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I will say those are excellent questions, and you are going to get some answers. Not next week, though. Next week, we get Jack's first episode of season 4? What the fuck? Plus some more surprises from Space Bear Media. Hey, guys. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacey J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook and SpaceBear_Media on Instagram and Threads. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube for extra video content. Or for everything in one place, go to spacebearmedia.com.